Mr. President.
Don't miss Monday's First Take when the one and only Irvin Magic Johnson joins us in studio.
It's the right thing to do, right move to make.
Magic Johnson quit
and do it without telling Jeannie Buss.
Where do the purple and gold go from here?
What I didn't like is the backstabbing and the whispering. I don't like that.
Find out why he left the Lakers and what LeBron needs to bring a title back to Staples.
It was just weird for him to just be like, nah, I'm out of here.
So don't miss our exclusive with Irvin Magic Johnson, Monday at 10 a.m. Eastern, only on First Take.
Looking forward to that. Looking forward to him being here. What's the one thing, Jay Will, you're looking forward to Stephen A. asking Magic?
Or Magic answering? I think that's the right question. Yeah.
Either way.
I want to understand, where was the backstabbing coming from? Like, and I understand that Magic Johnson is Magic Johnson, but for him to walk away from that, what was the backstabbing that occurred that made you walk away from that? But Magic's not going to really tell us that.
No, he's not going to tell anything. I just think you look at, as a player, obviously we know his greatness, but as a GM, as a coach, as a president, I just think he's best where he's at, and I just think the best question is, like, you're not coming back, right? You're not going to take over in any capacity. I think that's the best question he will answer.
I think for me, I'd like to ask him what he thinks, after being there for a year and watching what unfolded, what he thinks the greatest need for LeBron is in moving forward.
Well, that's a really interesting one, because he could have been the person to try and fill that need, and he voluntarily chose not to. I'm dying to hear whether he and LeBron have talked yet, one way or another. In a change of pace, the Lakers are going to announce someone taking a job today. Frank Vogel will be officially introduced as their coach. It'll be his job to incorporate and develop the young talent around LeBron and whatever star talents may arrive this summer. Speaking of which, our friend Brian Winhorst had this thought over the weekend.
Kyrie Irving and LeBron's games were born to be paired together. The ability for LeBron to be able to handle the ball and set up an incredible shooting guard, or to hand off those duties to a great ball handler. They're both incredible isolation players. If you look at who LeBron's won championships with, Kyrie, and, you know, I know that this isn't the guy in the same breath, but Mario Chalmers. Chalmers is kind of a poor man's Kyrie Irving. And then you even look at Mo Williams, who LeBron had 2 60-win teams with. Again, Mo Williams, if you actually look at his game, is kind of a poor man's Kyrie Irving. This is the type of combo guard that he is meant to be paired with.
Okay, so we are looking at the face of Richard Jefferson.
Did he just call Mario Chalmers a poor man Kyrie?
Even Mo Will?
He's talking about the game.
There's nothing. There's nothing you can reference or talk about. Okay.
Here's the problem.
Okay.
Is that
how poor? It's like me and Bill Gates. That's like, I'm a poor man's Bill Gates, right? That's what I am.
Fair enough. But let us not allow that comparison, which you find inappropriate, to sidetrack us from the important part of the conversation, which is he is saying that Kyrie Irving is the perfect person to combine with LeBron James.
I was kind of with him there. It was just the examples that he gave were so...
But not only were you there, you were on the team, to make sure everyone is aware. You were on the team with those guys. You won a championship with those guys. Do you see them being able to put aside whatever their differences were? I mean, when last seen, Kyrie Irving was forcing his way out of Cleveland so he didn't have to play with LeBron anymore. Can they come back together?
I don't believe so. I can't speak for Kyrie. I can't speak for Bron, but I think what Kyrie wants to accomplish in his career, and you look at going to Boston, being the first time being a free agent in a very long time and picking the right spot, I don't see it. I don't see him going back to Bron. You know, we all talk about narratives here and what people will say. We're talking about Kevin Durant and what he's having to deal with. I don't see Kyrie going to LA and just falling back in line.
It will never happen. It will never, ever, ever happen. Can you imagine the narrative that will follow Kyrie Irving? So you have 2 bad seasons in Boston, one where you don't play in the playoffs to get to the finals, the next where you don't get the team to where they're supposed to go, right, with all the things said on the podium, and then the next year you say, you know what, I'm going to go back and play with LeBron James. People will say, we knew Kyrie couldn't get it done on his own. We knew Kyrie wasn't the leader. Kyrie will not want that narrative to follow him for the rest of his career. Yeah. I wouldn't want that narrative to follow me the rest of my career. I wouldn't want it to happen. I can only go back to LeBron James to win the championship.
Look at
LeBron
that
James is the only guy. I couldn't go back and do it with Kevin Durant. I couldn't do it with an Anthony Davis. I couldn't do it with another player. It only has to. No offense to LeBron. Yeah. I just will never see that happening with the way it went down the first time.
To Winhorst's credit, he is right. Kyrie and the way he plays, he is an elite scorer, an unstoppable scorer that you can't double team, especially if there's a Bron or somebody else on the. So yes, that type of score pairs up great with Bron. D-Wade, him, I think it's right. Will it happen? Probably not.
I think Kyrie, though, he's an independent thinker. I think the biggest thing is going to be he's going to want to go to a championship team. He's going to look at the personnel on the team and he's going to say, okay, what gives me the best chance to win a championship? He's not just going to go somewhere because he has a relationship with somebody. It's going to be what's going to give him the best chance to win. He's on a loaded team in Boston. It may be stay in Boston.
Here's what I would say, Jay Will, in response to what you said about what the narrative would be about Kyrie. I think the narrative would be that he did some very honest self-assessment and reflection and said, I'm not meant to be the primary figure on a championship team because all of the attention and all of that does not suit me well. He didn't handle it well. That's not an opinion. It's a statement of fact. He doesn't handle that well. All of that is dealt with by LeBron if you go play with him. Their games do fit together like a hand in a glove to the point that Tibbs just made. And whether he goes to play with Kevin Durant or he goes to play with Anthony Davis or he goes to play with anybody else, he isn't going to be the primary player on that team regardless. If he's going to be the primary player on a team, we learned this year, they're not going to win a championship. So I think it would I would give him all the credit in the world if he took a couple of years in the same way that LeBron in a different circumstances said, you know what, I want to go back to Cleveland now. I learned what I needed to learn. I'm going back. Kyrie might say, you know what, I saw the grass. It's not necessarily greener over there. I'm going to go back and play with this guy because we are dynamite together. I would give him a lot of credit for doing it.
I think, yeah. I mean, a lot of people give him a lot of credit. I just think that, when you're at that level, your reality is somewhat distorted because your ego has gotten you to that level. You're talking about Kyrie. He's at the top of the NBA. He's gotten there due to the fact that he knows he can be special. Now, I'm not saying he can't be special with LeBron, but it was the way that Cavs breakup went down. And RJ, you were a part of it. I just don't know if I see him saying,
Let me ask you a question.
To come back.
Let me ask you this question, okay? We all watched Kyrie, and it is sometimes dangerous to assess people's level of happiness from the outside. He looked like the unhappiest person in the entire sport most of this season, right? He did not look like a man having fun. Yeah. When you played with him in Cleveland, was he having fun?
At moments, yeah, at moments, and at times he was, and there was other moments where, there was conversations like, yo, is Kyrie all right? And it would be like some days he would walk in and Kyrie has such a dynamic personality, he's so charismatic, and he's just like laughing, joking, and other days it looked like there were things bothering him, and he might, kind of push himself, away from the rest of the guys, but ultimately he was our brother, so it's like, Kyrie, if you're having a good day, bad day, whatever it is, but if you don't get that same type of, community and vibe inside your locker room, we saw Terry Rozier, who is his backup, come on and say, listen, I sacrifice everything. I don't want to go back there. So obviously there was a ton of tension going on inside of that locker room. It wasn't nearly as much tension in our Cleveland locker room.
The winning is fun. To me, when you guys won the championship, it looked like he was having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And so to me, you try to get into that position again. Yeah. And going to the West is a different animal. Yeah. There's 14 teams that are very strong at home in the West. Mm-hmm. It's not an easy path. Mm-hmm. So the path might be easier in the East.
But I mean, did everyone? Am I the only one who watched what happened in Boston this year? I mean, no one else see that?
No, we all did.
It was a disaster, and he hated it, and they hated it.
But he didn't get a chance to orchestrate his own team. Like, that's the power that he has now in free agency.
No, I don't know if he's going to be able. Like, again, I don't know if Kyrie is the same type of guy that's going to be like, I want to show up at a place and then have a say in the guys that are built around me because I want my own team. I don't know if Kai is that guy.
I'm saying having the opportunity to pick a team now as a free agent instead of just being traded.
Yes.
Yeah.
So what team do you think he picks? Well, if you're Kyrie Irving,
come on. I don't know. It depends upon free agency. It depends on who he decides to partner with.
Do you think staying in Boston is a real possibility?
I do not see him staying in Boston.
Neither do I.
I see him going somewhere else.
So you don't see Boston, you don't see LA. So you see two places, Boston, LA, you don't think.
I can see New York or Brooklyn.
Okay.
I wouldn't sell Boston short. Yeah, I think Boston's biggest problem this year was that they had too many players. Mm-hmm. And I think Danny Ainge is as good as it gets. He'll evaluate that. They have a lot of assets where they can make a trade with multiple players and take a superstar back, now it may fit a lot better for everyone.
Who do you get rid of, though, Tibbs? Like, that's what you said. If you keep Kyrie.
For Anthony, I mean, the superstar you're talking about is Anthony Davis, obviously.
Are you letting go of Jason Tatum for that?
A superstar type player to evaluate, does this give us the best chance? Because they have to think about how are we going to match up with Milwaukee? Okay, Toronto, no one knows what's going to happen next year.
It's going to be very interesting to watch. I would be really surprised. I think, for the record, LeBron and Kyrie together would be terrific again in LA. I think it's the best thing that could happen to LeBron James, and I don't think it's out of the question. As we continue, his coach called him a wrecking ball after Saturday night's game. How Draymond Green showed he is still one of the most underrated players in the NBA. That's next.